Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Purpose Vision Future Show. My name is Amanda Heal, and I'm coming to you from Canberra, Australia, just in case you didn't recognize my accent. And it's summer down here, which is why I'm wearing short sleeves, because it's hot. I know it's cold where most of you are. So last week, we talked about purpose. We talked about life's purpose and what that means, and why you would want to discover it. And just in case you missed that, your purpose is basically your calling. Some people call it your superpower. It's the thing that comes naturally to you. It's the thing that lights you up and makes you want to jump out of bed every day. And why you would want to discover your life's purpose is because then you're doing what God put you on this earth to do. And isn't that great? Doing God's will, doing what he put us on this earth to do. So today I want to talk about one of the things that helps us or points us towards our life's purpose, and that's our passions and our dreams. Now, I'm not talking about the dreams you have at night, unless, of course, you have a gift of dreams. I kind of wish I had that. I'm talking more about the dreams that you have, your passions, the things that you daydream about, the things that you secretly have stowed away in the back of your mind that you've always wanted to do. And I'm not talking about, you obviously can't be a pro basketball player if you're 4 foot tall. I'm talking about dreams that are possible, have some degree of possibility. You're also not going to be a professional singer if you're tone deaf. So I'm talking about dreams that have some element of possibility in them. It might be a stretch because God is good and he can do amazing things, but they're dreams that have some sort of possibility in them. Did you know that we have no original thought except for thought that comes from God? This kind of blew my mind a bit when I was reading a book by Bill Winston called Transform Your Thinking, Transform Your Life. And he's a pastor. And he suggests that there is no such thing as original thought except the thought that comes from God. And that really does have a biblical basis to it, because Romans 12 verse 2 does tell us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And Bill Winston suggests that the only original thought comes from God, and God gives us an imagination, and he gives us the free will to use our imagination or our mind. And so we can fill it with whatever we choose. We can fill it with God, or we can fill it with stuff that doesn't come from God, which is the enemy, the world. And I believe that God implants dreams. He implants passions into our minds, because that's what he's made us for. He's created us for a purpose, and he does implant that purpose into our mind. We just have to seek him, fill our minds with him, talk to him about what our passions are, and he will make them clear. I know now that my purpose is to inspire and encourage others. And I guess the deep root of that is to make people feel better. And I think that God was putting that in my mind even when I was a little girl. I remember one day I was about 5 and we're driving along in my mum's car. And mum says to me, "Darling, what would you like to do when you grow up?" And I said to her, "Oh, Mum, I want to be a nurse." "Why do you want to be a nurse, darling?" she says. And I said, "Well, nurses put bandages on people and make them feel better." And my mum was a nurse, and she said, "Well, yes, that's true, darling, they do. But they do lots of other things too, because as I said in last week's show, I'm totally blind. And so it would be a miraculous thing if I was to become a nurse, because there's lots of things that nurses need their sight for, obviously. But my darling mum, she didn't want to crush my spirit. So she said, oh, nurses do lots of other things as well. And I said, oh, what do they do? And she said, well, they make beds, don't they? And you don't like making beds, do you? And I said, oh, no, I don't like making beds. And between you and me, at the age of 52, I still don't like making beds. Anyway, so making beds. No, don't like making beds. And she said, they also empty bedpans. What are they? I asked. She told me. And I said in horror, oh, no, I don't want to empty bedpans. No, absolutely not. And no more was said on the subject. But I think that was God just implanting the very first tiny little hair's breadth fiber of my life's purpose into my mind, making people feel better. And over the years, that's just kind of been refined and refined and refined. I thought I wanted to be a physiotherapist, or a physical therapist, as you call it in the US. I did some work experience with a physiotherapist when I was in high school. We have this wonderful thing in Australia where you get to do a week's work experience a couple of times during your high school time. And I worked with a physio for a week and absolutely loved it. And so I couldn't be a physiotherapist in Australia because this was pre-disability discrimination legislation. And so the only place I could train to be a physiotherapist was the North London School of Physiotherapy. So I traveled all the way from Australia to London to study physiotherapy. And that's a story for another day. Things didn't work out because I had what they call spatial awareness problems. And not all blind people have this. It's just to do with my eye condition. And the most practical example of that is I never carry bowls of soup because I can't hold them level, tip them slightly, don't realize, and I'm spilling soup, and then I go, oh, and tip it too much the other way, and it's just a disaster. So I never carry bowls of soup. I never carry trays. I do occasionally get disorientated in open spaces, but that also can affect my ability to be a physiotherapist. If I'm teaching someone to walk or put their limbs in particular places. Yeah. So anyway, I came back to Australia and studied law and worked as a lawyer for 17 years. Anyway, so I digress again. So physiotherapy, that was all about making people better. Being a lawyer, that was about helping people and helping them with their legal issues. And then after I was made redundant from my legal career, I then started really deeply searching for my life's purpose and discovered that my life's purpose is to inspire and encourage others. And that in a way makes them feel better too, but in a practical way, inspiring and encouraging them to be the best people they can be. So that is my passion. That is my dream. And I think it's probably time for a break.
Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. all designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live, and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WYTV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WYTV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you to our lovely sponsors who make this show possible. And while I'm on that, please, if you do like what you're hearing, please do donate to WYTV7.org, because your donations make this show and all the other lovely shows on this channel possible. So we were talking about dreams and purpose and passions, and discovering our passions and dreams. And I want to encourage you, if you have a passion or a dream, stick to it. Hang on to it for all it's worth. Stick to it. Don't pay attention to what other people say. They might discourage you. And that's not because they're being mean, it's because they love you and they don't necessarily want you to take a risk or step outside your comfort zone. So if you have what you believe is a God-given dream, then stick to it and just hang on to it, and God will reveal it to you. Because as I was saying before the break, he had planted that dream in my head, and as a little child I just understood it as making people feel better, but that's progressed and progressed, and he's refined it and refined it and refined it. And now I know that it is to inspire and encourage others. And I'm doing that through speaking. I'm doing that through writing. If you want to find out more how to discover your life's purpose and read more about passions and dreams, you can do so in this book, my book, Seeing by Vision, Not by Sight. And you can get that through my website at purposevisionfuture.com. Easy to remember, it's the same name as the show, purposevisionfuture.com. And what a wonderful thing to do in a nice, brand, shiny new year, is discover your life's purpose. Alrighty, so another person who, I mentioned the first book that I read, Transform Your Thinking, Transform Your Life by Bill Winston. I highly recommend that book. Another book I highly recommend, apart from my own, of course, is Put Your Dream to the Test by John C. Maxwell. And I'm honored to be a John C. Maxwell team member, trained John C. Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach. And I've had the honor of sitting at this man's feet and being taught by him. And in his book, Put Your Dream to the Test, he talks about how you can put your dream to the test. He says that if it is the right sort of dream that you need to hang on to, it'll make you sing for joy. It'll make you want to dance. It'll break your heart. It'll make you want to cry. It's got some very strong emotions attached to it. You won't be able to let it go. He talks about things like, do you have the resources you need for your dream to make it a reality? Do you have your dream team? Do you have the people around you, the people to support you? Because following your dream, discovering your life's purpose can be a lonely process. So it's good to have people to support you and encourage you. I've got my beautiful mum And of course, I've got God. And he encourages me. He's the one who encourages me when it gets hard, when I get down. And he just lifts me back up again and says, now remember your dream. You may have had a prophecy spoken over your life. I've had a couple of prophecies spoken over my life about speaking and about encouraging people, and which is really just gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, because it's really just confirmed what God has put in my heart. And one of the prophecies was talking about a diamond, and how when I speak that fear will flee in all directions like light off the facets of a diamond. And I didn't know what that meant until I went to Disneyland. I went to, Disney World actually, and we were going on the Seven Dwarfs, the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs ride. And they had these big barrels. It was very, very clever, really. Good, lots of things to keep you going while you're in the long, long queue. And we're in this long, long queue going through this cave, and it's winding around this cave, and there are all sorts of interesting things to touch, bags and ropes and all sorts of different things. And there was this big barrel, and it had these big balls, big balls, and they had lots of different faces on them, like a great big crystal. And I went, oh, what are these? And my friend said, oh, they're jewels. And she said, that's what jewels are like. That's what diamonds are like. That's why they shine, because the light sparkles off all the facets. And so that prophecy was really cool, because I now understand what that means. And because diamonds to me in rings and things just feel like little flat stones. I because the facets are so tiny, I can't feel them. So that was very cool. So thank you, Disney World. So yes, do you have the people to support you? Do you have the right mindset to follow your dream? And there's many more, and I hope to teach a little bit from that book in another episode, because it's some very, very good material in there and some really interesting stories. So I encourage you, hang on to your dream, follow it, let God build it, imagine it, think about it, let it be the thing you think about while you're going to sleep. Let it be the thing you think about when you wake up in the morning, because God will transform you by renewing your mind, and he will make that dream clearer, and he will show you step by step. He won't necessarily give you the big picture. He will give you step by step, day by day, what you need to do. And it may not always make sense, but just trust him and follow him and be obedient to him, and he will show you what your life's purpose is. And I want to finish up the show by saying, if you're facing a challenge that seems a little bit too big, you've got this. I know you've got this. Just reach down deep inside and grab hold of that courage that I know that is in you, and you will be just fine. So that brings us to the end of the show, and thank you for joining me, and join me again, same time, same place next week for another dose of Purpose, Vision, Future. Thank you.